We stand on the pavement, crane our necks, and stare at the final stage of extraordinary success. Society fixates on these massive monuments of wealth, yes, or a level of luck that the rest of us simply can't access. By obsessing over the finish line, we miss the mechanics of the race. We treat the final empire as an act of magic, ignoring the specific, cold structural equations that actually built it. To understand the billionaire, we have to look at the man who had nothing. He began with empty pockets and a crushing weight of doubt, miles away from any boardroom or investment circle. Erasing those early, desperate days from the story creates a flawed understanding of reality. We end up studying the penthouse while knowing nothing about how the structure below it was actually anchored. This brings us to the architecture of the unseen. The true structural foundation of any massive success is poured in the dark, long before the general public ever notices. If you want to comprehend the titan standing before you today, you have to excavate the invisible man society has forgotten. The separation between this individual and the crowd began in the quiet margins of the day. He made specific choices during the idle hours when the rest of the world clocked out. This timeline illustrates that split. While others slept, he studied. While peers complained, he built his first tiny advantages. These efforts acted as a hidden support system. He was laying the scaffolding required to carry a massive operation. This is the friction phase. It is a multi-year stretch where physical and mental inputs are massive, yet the visible payout remains absolutely zero. Generating an extraordinary outcome requires asymmetrical inputs. It requires doing the exact labor the majority refuses to do when no one is watching to applaud the effort. That hidden labor was a series of setbacks. During those invisible years, he faced total financial loss and was told his goals were impossible more times than he could record. Most people respond to that level of friction by retreating to safety. He took a different route, treating the resistance as a source of information. He stripped the emotional weight from every rejection and loss. Instead of seeing a defeat, he processed each failure as a mandatory lesson used to identify weak points in his strategy. The word impossible became a critical data point. He used it to refine his approach until the strategy was hardened against the very obstacles that stop everyone else. Eventually, this persistent input hits a tipping point. The years of invisible work begin to create real-world momentum. This flowchart models the escalation. Thousands of disciplined hours convert into rare opportunities. He leverages these into functional, profitable businesses. Finally, these businesses interlock. Each generates surplus capital and data that feeds the next, creating an integrated network of assets. When every lesson and every dollar is systematically reinvested, the growth curve shifts from linear to exponential. The empire is the output of this relentless compounding algorithm. Look at the billionaire from the beginning of our story again, but view him through the context of those brutal, invisible years. Society often assumes that achieving this level of success changes a person's core identity. The reality is that wealth and power act as a magnifying glass. They reveal who a person was when they had nothing. The empire exposed the unyielding, ironclad character he had already forged in complete isolation years ago. The difference between an ordinary existence and an extraordinary life comes down to the insertion of one variable into the equation. The entire architecture of success hinges on the decision to keep moving when the friction is at its highest. It is the refusal to stop that allows the algorithm of compounding to finish its work. This means the foundation for your own future empire is not waiting for a stroke of luck or a better market. It begins with the invisible work you do today.